All right. Sure.
Yeah, so we are live. And we are live because we want people to get. So, the way that it works, I have now realized, is that depending on where someone where someone set the little reminder thingy, or if someone subscribes to our YouTube channel, which everyone should be subscribed to the YouTube channel, then you get an email in your inbox. And sometimes people take a while to, see it. So we can just shoot the breeze for a few minutes. It won't kill us.
Yep, that sounds good. Sounds like a
Actually, Neha,
plan.
since we have a couple minutes, can we do a quick experiment? Because there's a couple pages that I wanted to leave links to in the chat.
Okay.
Can
Mm-hmm.
you maybe open your phone and see if the links I'm posting are actually already like would it be
Ooh,
visible to you in
interesting.
the
So you
chat?
want me to check on LinkedIn, right? Or YouTube?
LinkedIn or YouTube or actually any of them because we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I just posted them. Oh, you know what? I only can. Hi. It looks like I can only post comments to Facebook and YouTube. So don't check LinkedIn because you're not going to see it there. Do you see it on the other ones or no? No.
No, not yet.
Okay. That's okay. We will add the links a
Oh,
little bit
there it
later.
is.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
I found them. Yep, it's on
Oh,
YouTube.
yes. Excellent. Okay, cool.
Hooray.
Excellent, excellent. So we learned something new today.
But they are in the live chat, so they may not get posted after we
Yeah,
finish
yeah.
the
Okay.
live stream. Yeah,
Okay,
they're in
cool.
the live chat box.
Sounds good. So at least people can see that they are there as they are watching. And then after we finish, you or Sylvester can add them to the, what's it called? Description?
Description. Yeah,
Wow.
sounds
Yeah.
good.
I have
Sounds
had
like a
coffee, I
plan.
promise.
It's a
Hello,
little
LinkedIn
early
user.
for you, isn't it? It's time change season. It's an hour before we normally do the live.
Yeah, you know what? We have a minute, so I can tell you. I'm actually very highly against the whole time change thing. And I have decided 2 years ago that I will not subscribe to it. So I have animals. My animals don't have watches. I don't know if they can tell time. I don't think they can. So you know what? If they wake up and they want to get fed, that's when I'm getting up. If it's 6, if it's 7, I don't care. My body also like I'm on a clock. Like I get sleepy at the same time, so I refuse to subscribe to the conventions of modern life. No, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I don't know. You guys don't change time zones in India, do you? Like ever? Uh oh, you're frozen. Uh oh. Hi everyone. Can you just in the chat, if you're watching, can you tell me if I'm frozen and or if Neha
It
is
was
frozen?
me. It was on my end. It was on
Are
my
you
end.
sure?
Yeah, because both my cameras were doing the little swivelly thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's not you,
Okay.
it's me.
It's not you, it's me. Nice, nice. Yeah. Whole other
What? It was a good
conversation for a
idea for you
whole
to
other
start
time.
early. It looks like we have some people in the chat.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Oscar, Mahesh, hi.
So, okay, cool. So let's officially start. People in the chat, we love you, but we're going to also leave you. If you have any questions, we will pay attention, but we're not going to engage with you because we only have 20 minutes. So, if you want to chat to us, definitely do it, and we will answer after this session. So, welcome. Hello. Good morning, good evening, good night, good everything. If you're in Australia, then good middle of the night. Why are you up and watching this live? Please go to bed. Just we're recording this so you can watch it later. Hi, Neha.
Hi, Magda. It's good to be here with you. We haven't
Yeah,
done this
we're going to
before,
learn
huh?
together.
Yeah.
So, today's little session is about renewing your coaching credentials. It's at the time we're recording this, it's the first third of November, November 11th to be exact. And that puts us firmly into ICF credential renewal season. So those of you who already have your credentials, you know that they last for a few years. So technically, you know that it's going to be renewed at some point, but a lot of us procrastinate, and that's okay. No judgment. I do it for a lot of things that I probably shouldn't. But if you are renewing your credential at the end of this year, you only have about 6 weeks left to get your act together. So today's session is here to help you navigate the renewal process and answer any questions that you might have about what needs to be done. So this is especially applicable to those of you who are renewing this year, but if you are renewing next year as well, obviously this applies to you, but you have a little bit more time to figure things out. So I know that Neha has vanished. That's okay. She will come back. She's having internet issues, but I will happily talk at you. So please jump in with any questions. I will try to pay attention in the chat so that I can cover them. But to get things started, I'm going to put in a couple links in the chat. And for those of you who are listening or watching later, please take a look at the descriptions of the videos. And there she is. She's back. Take a look at the descriptions of the videos because we're going to add these links again. So here is the first one. And this is a page that shows you the overview of credential requirements or credential renewal requirements. And here's another page which talks about the definitions of the two types of education that you need in order to fulfill those renewal requirements. So this whole session is here because Neha was like, what is research development? We can answer that today. So Neha, where do you want to start?
Okay, so I want to start with, I'm a complete newbie to this. So the only things I know are how to actually get your certification. So how do you get your ACC? How do you get your PCC? So I guess the first question I would be asking you, or the thing I'm curious about is, how frequently do I need to renew my certification? When does it expire?
So every 3 years I should rewind. For ICF, so the International Coaching Federation, they've rebranded, the International Coaching Federation, you have to renew your credential every 3 years. Now, with the whole craziness of COVID over the past 2 years, there have been a ton of kind of like little tweaks and things. So it's possible that some of you may have been in contact with ICF and you have an extension or something. So this is special times. So if you've heard from ICF differently, that's okay. They do make exceptions for things. We're talking here in general terms. So for ICF credentials, they are to be renewed every 3 years. And the renewal year, it ends at the end of December. So anyone who still needs to renew this year, you have until the end of this year to actually submit your application. And should we go into how that actually works, Neha?
Yeah, sure. So if it's 3 years, say I completed my course in January, would that be at the end? So suppose I completed 2021, that would be 2024 end?
It's not when you completed your course. It's when you got your credential from ICF.
All right. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Because that's a whole other thing.
Exactly. So when you're applying for credentials with ICF or anyone, they will have their own rules as to when things expire when it comes to Coacharia. So we're a provider of the training that enables you to apply for these credentials, right? So once you have your accreditation, once you have your certificate of completion from us, we don't expire those because it's a timestamp. You've done the work. Yeah. Whether there will be any limitations as to what ICF or another coaching organization will accept in terms of deadlines. Like, you always need to check that. So we always say to learners that as soon as you have your requirements for your credential, apply, so that you don't get into a space where maybe it's been too long and you forget things, or ICF says your training was too far away, etc. So get your training once you have your certificate, and then you fulfill the requirements of the credential that you want to apply for. Apply for it. Don't dilly-dally.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. We can move on to then what it entails. Yeah.
Sure. So we're talking about people who already have their credential, right? So ICF has 3 different levels: ACC, PCC, and MCC. So there's slightly different requirements for ACC than for others. And the reason is that ACC is like I want to say the entry-level credential. To get your ACC, you need 100 hours of coaching practice, whereas to get your PCC, you need 500 hours of coaching practice. So when you get your ACC, 100 hours is still a lot of hours, but chances are that you're still learning, you're still developing your coaching style and your grasp of coaching competencies. So when you renew your ACC credential, chances are that you're still in that process of fully being the best coach. So ICF requires that if you have your ACC, over and above the other things we're going to talk about in a second, you also have to get some mentoring. So, okay, cool, full stop. So what are the actual requirements? So for any of those credentials, ACC, PCC, or MCC, you go to the ICF website, and there is a link in the description of this live video podcast, however you are participating today, and you file an application. And as part of the application, you have to evidence what kind of continuing education you have done in the 3 years during your credential, right? So you're renewing every 3 years. So we're looking at the 3 years from when you got your credential to your renewal deadline. And I don't know if you can see on the board behind me. And we'll make a graphic and we'll post this along with the podcast and video. But overall, you need to have 40 hours of continuing education units or credits, whatever you want to use. But you will see abbreviation used quite frequently, CCE or CCEU. And that stands for the continuing coach education. And then the U is for unit. So you need 40 CCE units. And of that, at least 24 need to be in core competencies. And at least 3 of those units need to be in coaching ethics. So you have 3 in coaching ethics, additional at least 21, so together 24 in core competency CCE, and then the remainder, so it's going to be 16 or less, right? Depending on how many core competency units you had. Those remaining CCEs will be in resource development. Okay, so they hired
with you so far.
Good so far? Okay, excellent. So, and like I mentioned before, if you are an ACC renewer, you also need to get 10 hours of mentoring.
Okay.
With me so far?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So we know what a CCE is. Great. Like now, core competency versus resource development. That's where people get tripped up. And how do you evidence those? So if you have your credential, you would have learned the coaching competencies because that's what your training is centered around, right? Yeah. So just like with your initial training or your coach training being focused on these core coaching competencies, that's the same thing that the core competency or coaching competency CCE units refer to. So training that you participate in, events that you participate in that happen to be around the coaching competencies. So whenever you're collecting your certificates for things that you attend that are accredited for CCE. On your certificate, on your confirmation, etc., it will very clearly state that, first of all, is CCE. So that means ICF gave thumbs up to the organization to award CCE units. And it'll also state the number of hours and whether something is core competency or resource development. Yeah. So, first thing I would do for everyone, look at the certificates that you do have and just check that it states that, because you still have 6 weeks to reach out to the places where you've collected your CCE from to verify things if you need to. But I'm reading my hair today. But yeah, so, CCE can be a bunch of different things. It doesn't need to just be kind of full on training, where you're on Zoom in person, whatever. Things like webinars are often accredited. So for example, at Coacharia, we do a webinar every single week. And 3 of those webinars on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesdays of the month, 3 of those webinars are all centered around coaching competencies. So when you attend them, for each webinar, you get 1 unit of core competency CCE. So there's 52 weeks in a year, or 56? 52?
Yeah, 52.
So technically, you could just tick your requirement for the core competency CCE if you just attend our webinars. So it's free, easy, happy days. But with CC, with so many acronyms, I hate acronyms. With CC certificates, with CCEs, you need to evidence it with a certificate, which could be like an actual PDF or it could be a letter. Like different companies do it differently, but you have to evidence it. So when you renew your credential, you actually upload all your certificates that show how many core competency CCEs you've earned. So at Coacharia, for example, we email you after the webinar. You get a little link where you can download your certificates. So you should have those, stored, and you just literally upload them in bulk. And that's all you need to do to evidence the core competency CCEs.
Okay.
For resource development, you don't have to evidence it by a third party. And the reason is that resource development can be a lot of different things. So in Coacharia's world, for example, how I mentioned that we have 4 different webinars and only 3 of those count for core competency. The 4th one on the 1st Wednesday of the month is our kind of like the business of coaching. We call it being a coach because it's all this stuff that isn't about coaching someone. It's the job of a coach, the things that coaches go through. So it's coaching related and very directly related, but it's not coaching competencies. So for that webinar, you get a resource development credit unit, whatever. You can also watch YouTube videos. You can watch that we have. So our YouTube channel, we have thousands of hours of content. You could watch that content and kind of it adds up to the number of hours that you need of resource development. You could read a book on coaching. So basically a lot of different self-study that you do counts as resource development. But you don't just, tell ICF, hey, I did it.
No, yeah, how do you evidence it? Yeah,
exactly. So with core competency, CCEs, you get a certificate. You don't have to worry about it, easy peasy. But with resource development units, you have to write a little summary, something that shows ICF that, yes, you've actually read that book or watched that webinar or whatever, and just kind of, tie it back into your own coaching. And what ICF will do is they will kind of go through it. And, we do encourage people to watch our YouTube videos as part and read our articles and ebooks as part of this, because not just because we think they're great and we want you to, but also because as an accredited organization, it's just easier to explain that the content we put out is coaching related, right? So I'm not speaking for ICF because I don't work there, but I do know that they verify what you are submitting. And, Coacharia has thousands of topics and hours of content accredited. So if they see that you've watched this, this, and this from Coach Arya, and Coach Arya is an ACCP accredited organization, that's kind of like a much quicker tick of approval that, yeah, this makes sense. So again, I don't work at ICF, but I'm just kind of logically trying to explain that it'll be easier for you to explain why something counts as coaching resource development when it is Coach Arya content. I'm going to stop because I've been talking for like 10 minutes straight.
Okay, that makes sense. That was great, Magda. That was super informative. I took a couple of little tiny baby notes. It's just the numbers, because, who can remember these things? Okay.
So 40 total units, at least 24 of those need to be core competency. Within that, at least 3 need to be in coaching ethics. And then the remainder of 40 needs to be resource development.
Yeah.
Plus 10 hours of mentoring if it's ACC you're renewing.
Okay. So what are some of the other ways I can get like a core competency? And how do I get the 3 in ethics? We do have ethics webinars. So
we do.
We just attend the ethics webinars and we're sorted there. And what about the other?
Technically, but the easiest thing to do actually is to watch the ICF's ethics course. So we'll put the links again in the description of this video / podcast. But ICF has an actual mini course in ethics. So you can just do that, tick it off. They'll give you a certificate. But yes, you can definitely attend Coach Arya webinars. We're also developing a little course. So for renewal for next year, you can also come to Coach Arya and do the course on your own in ethics. But yeah, for now, go to ICF website to do that. And happy days. But what are some other ways you ask that you can earn core competency credits?
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on where you've trained as well, like you could have additional training hours that will count as coaching competency CCE. So at Coach Arya, for example, right, we have to get your ACC, we have a 60-hour program with mentoring. To get your PCC, we have a 125-hour program with mentoring. So that fulfills the ICF requirements. Now, above and beyond that, we offer short programs. So for example, right now we have one on agile coaching, and we have another one on the role of ancient wisdom in coaching. We've done one on NLP and a few other different things. So there's, you can find short courses that, aren't full-blown coach training, that they may not actually have the CCE label on them, but they might have an ACSDH or ACTP label on them. So basically, ICF kind of works in hierarchies, right? So you have like the topmost accreditation is ACTP, and then it goes ACSDH, and then CCE. So basically, for renewal purposes, any of those 3, if you see that logo on any of those 3 courses, those will count as units, credits, for your core competency requirement. So look for short courses. Conferences a lot of times get accredited. So we didn't do a conference this year because everyone is zoomed out. And frankly, we do a webinar every week. So I think we do our fair share of CCs. But we're doing a conference in early 2022. And part of that conference is going to include awards of certificates for attendance. So not for all topics, but topics that are directly related to this. So you may have attended a conference. So, when everyone asks me, how do I know whether I have the requirements? The first thing I always say is just, what you've attended in terms of training, in terms of networking, like all the coachy things that you do. So just go through your emails and even just do a search for like CCE in quotes, or continuing coach education, or, all the different keywords that kind of go along with this, and see just in your emails, chances are you probably like missed a certificate or email or 2, because this is not something that we think about, right? Like we do continuing education because we want to learn things and become better coaches, not because we're taking boxes. So it just so happens that we also have to tick some boxes And because we're not thinking about it, we don't actually even remember it. So if you attended Cocharia webinars, you for sure will have a ton of emails sitting in your inbox with certificate claim links. But I'm guessing that, if you attended a coaching conference of some sort or anything that's sponsored by ICF, chances are it's going to come with CCE. So definitely look out for that.
Awesome. That sounds good. And you're right. I think it's just people don't really have the intention to renew when they're learning more about coaching and when they're trying to grow as a coach. So it is possible to have just missed out on that. And I'm sure people also, just for their resource development credits, they have probably read books and summarized them, written a blog post or talked to a friend about it, or like written to a friend about it, or just, made their own notes or something like that. And I'm sure they'll be able to then use those things and just like put their heads to it a little bit and accumulate the CCs that they need to renew.
Yeah. Or watched our videos. I mean, we literally have thousands of hours of video watching on our channel alone, and we're just one company that is putting out this kind of coaching content. So look at your browser history if you can't remember. It'll be there. So just get creative and kind of do a bit of sleuthing in your own internet/brain/computer and put together what you've done. But if you don't have the required hours, so again, 40 total, at least 24 in core competency, and the rest in resource development, plus mentoring if you're an ACC. If you don't have some of those requirements, it's okay. It's not over. We still have 6 weeks in the year, 7 weeks, whatever. Time flies. I don't like it. I hate getting older. So through Cocharia, you have some opportunities that are super easy. I mean, I mentioned videos and blog posts for resource development, but for core competency, we have 5 more webinars that you can attend for one core competency unit each. So just go to our website, cocharia.com/events, and you can see all the webinars among everything that we do. So attend those and you'll get at least 5 of those units. And if you are an ACC and you need to get those 10 hours of mentoring, we also scheduled a program at the end of November specifically for you so that you can get that requirement done. So if you need the mentoring for ACC, please go to our website and you can register for that, or you can always just email us, support@cocharia.com or contact@cocharia.com. Whatever you email, somebody will get it and will answer you. But we have that available. And we did just start a couple of short courses that have variable number of core competency hours, so that if you need a lot of them, we'll help you across the finish line. We'll help you get there. So it's maybe too late to join those courses, but if enough of you raise your hand and go, oh my gosh, I need 20 core competencies, we can make it happen. I mean, we have so much great content and so many trainers who are accredited and passionate about their areas of expertise that I'm sure if I went to them tomorrow and said, hey, I've got 10 people who want to study ancient wisdom and how it applies to coaching, I'm pretty sure we can make it happen. So yeah, let us know, reach out to us, and we will happily help you get across the finish line for your renewal, whether you're watching this now in 2021 or you're having this exact same panic drama in November 2022. We'll still be here and we can still help you.
That's awesome, Magda. I'm sure a lot of people watching this are either filing it away for later, or they're really thinking about, okay, how am I going to get my CCEs now? And you've just made it really, really clear with all the distinctions. So cool. Thank you for that. I learned so much.
You're welcome so much. But for those of you who aren't as clear as Neha, because it's a lot. Honestly, like it took me like a year to understand all the different acronyms and things. And I remember I used to email back and forth with Ram, and he would just kind of spew out a bunch of stuff. And I would reply and be like, okay, Ram, I think I understand the words between the acronyms, but I don't understand anything else that has a capital letter. So it's okay if you're confused and you're like, what are you talking about? again, just email us or check out the links that we're going to post in the chat/description of this episode. Obviously, ICF is the body that awards these credentials and that renews them. So they have up-to-date information, and you can always email them as well. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you, just like we're happy to help you. But it's all summarized there. It's also summarized on our blog. Just you have to do a Google. And if your brain is exploding, you don't need to Google. Just email us and we'll help you.
Sounds good, Magda.
Cool. Thanks, Neha. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't even look at the questions. Before we wrap up, someone is asking about expiration date for CCEs and when they should be, when they should do them. I can't words anymore. I've been talking too long. CCEs may expire because it depends on the organization that's awarding them. So they can be collected anytime within that 3-year period, but it's possible that, let's say you renew twice. ICF or the organization that awarded the CCE may not allow you to use like an old one from 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So it really depends on the organization. But in general, these things don't expire. Your credentials expire, but certificates generally don't. But yeah, big asterisk here, just check your certificates. If it says expires on blah, 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 then it does. But in general, as soon as you get your credential, you can start earning CCE units. And just keep collecting them until your renewal happens.
That was a good question.
Thank you, people. Well, if you have any others, email us. Contact at support at Magda at coachart.com, Neha at pick your at, and we'll help you. Cool.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us. It was a little longer than usual today, but I hope it's helpful. And if you are listening or watching this later, I am hoping that our lovely Sylvester will have edited this down a tiny bit so that it's not 30 minutes, but maybe 20.
Speaking of Sylvester, he did tell me to ask you a question.
Yeah.
When are you going to get your PCC?
Oh, God. Thanks, Sylvester. And thanks, Neha.
You're welcome. Welcome.
You know what they say, those who can't do, teach. Well, I do neither. Yeah, I need to get my acts together. I have the requirements. It's a good thing that my Kocharya certificate doesn't expire, hey?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll have to chase you up on that.
I know. I'm more focused on enabling, all of you lovely people to get to your goals, like a good coach should.
Yeah, like you are right now. This was so great. This was so helpful.
And I like you can see, I talk too much to be a coach. Yeah. Fun times. Thanks, Sylvester. I'm gonna call you after this. Yeah. All right. Goodbye.
All right.
See you guys here next week.
See you next week. Bye.